Welcome back to the Joust About Careers podcast. This episode features the highlights of the conversation with Nick DeVore, a 2016 Van Buren graduate who is an electrician and project foreman for Bodie Mechanical Services. The highlights focus on how a typical day looks for Nick, the flexibility his apprenticeship provided him, the positives and negatives of his career, and his advice for those thinking about a construction career. If you want to learn more about Nick's career journey, you can always watch or listen to his full interview. And if you find this podcast useful, please share it with someone else who could benefit from it. Enjoy the highlights, and I'll see you back here next Monday for a brand new episode. Have a great week.
So typically come in the morning, I'm always here earlier than everybody else, kind of get my day going. Usually I have a 2-week look ahead. So the previous 2 weeks are always kind of what I have coming up. Say this week, 2 weeks ago, I already have this already planned out. Everything does not always go as planned. Things change as we're contractors. So we kind of have to coordinate with everybody else. And it's almost a game in a way, to one who can get there first. And it's just kind of a game. It's a big game. It's all about coordination. It's all about scheduling. But, a typical day is, right now I have my guys are on a schedule from 6 to 4:30. They come in. I do a morning brief in the morning, which takes about 15 minutes. We go over our safety precautions, everything what we got going on today. We do job walks, stuff like that. There's times that now the days can obviously change with how many people you have on your crew that day or that week. If I have a crew of 14 or if I have a crew of 8, like I do today, that kind of changes. It can go from, I can only go and talk to 2 guys the first couple minutes of the day, and then not going to get to the next 2 and then the next 2. But usually, like right now, it's pretty fast. It's really easy. I just kind of whatever they were starting on last, say Thursday, because we're only working 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, 10-hour schedule. It is kind of a luxury. You get your 3-day weekends. But they usually know what's going on coming Monday. Just kind of ask them if they have any questions or they need anything. If so, they write it on my whiteboard that I have out on the job right now currently, because I'm in my office trailer right now. But that's really typically, it's a typical day. You're working as an electrician out there all day long. It's whether if you're running conduit, if you're pulling wire, you're setting gear, you're mounting panels, you're taking layouts and stuff like that. It's really, there's a lot that goes into it day to day. It's not all the same. Nothing is, it's not like a factory where you're going in the same thing every single day. So it can kind of change. So it's a really broad question for me to answer. On the floor, probably, I'd say 7 hours out of my 10-hour day. The other 3 hours I'm in my office, which is, sporadically. I could be in my office for 10 minutes. I could be in there for 2 minutes. I could be in there for 2 hours.
Right.
It just basically depends on, my meetings, stuff like that, job walks, coordination meetings, stuff like that. When I went to Buren Industries, I was pursuing a 4-year apprenticeship there. What had happened was I was actually living outside Falls Story in my old house before I moved back to Van Buren. I worked there for 2 years. I decided that I didn't want to drive. I didn't want to have a lot of commute to work anymore. So I ended up leaving Buren Industries after 2 years, which all of my credits and all of my classes and all the stuff that I did had transferred over to Bodie Electric, which was a non-union shop as well. Now, kind of fast forwarding, I was continuing my education in Falls Story, doing the same exact thing, same classes, same program, everything. And we were actually I think 14 months into being at Bodie Electric, we were bought out by the Kirk Corporation in Findlay, which then moved everything to non-union to union, which are two totally different schoolings. You got to then test in from, your non-union apprenticeship to the union apprenticeship, because the union apprenticeship is a 5-year school and the non-union is 4 years. So I tested in, had I had to do 2.5 more years of schooling, which then gave me my journeyman electrical license as an electrician. And then, I was on the ground running from there. I'll start off with the negatives and I'll end with the positives. The negative part is you have to get up early. I get up every morning at 3:30. I don't come to work until 5:30 every morning, and guys start showing up. They get here at 5:50, 6 o'clock. We start work at 6 o'clock. Now that's just this job oriented, but that's probably the biggest negative. And you have to work 10 hours. You have to work. That's a big deal. If you don't work, then there's no room for you here. We have a product that we have to get done for our customers, and we're obviously customer first base, because they always come first. But the positive thing is the benefits. You make a lot of money. You get to drive that brand new truck. You get to have that boat. You get to have that house. And the best thing at the very end, I look at the broad scheme of everything. You get to provide for your family. That's the end goal for everybody. They want to be able to provide for the family. They want to be able to have, clothes on their kids' backs and food on the table. That this job is going to provide in the construction industry. I guess I will go back to a negative. The only thing that I can say is the workload that we have. There's so many different electrical contractors out there, and it's not just say Bodie Mechanical's bidding on this project. They're not the only ones. We're also fighting for our lives against, say GEM or IPS or Vaughn Industries or, Zender Electric out of Fall Astoria, which never happens, but it's everywhere. It's a money game. It's very money driven, and usually a lower price gets it. I wish I'd have taken seriously more of the math side of the school, because I deal a lot with math all day long. Whether that's measurements, whether it's money, whether if it's hours, whether if it's just anything in general. It kind of goes hand in hand with everything that I do. Math is just a huge part of my day to day. With angles and figuring out everything and how something could say fit. When it comes to, say, rigging a piece of equipment or rigging and setting, like, say, a huge transformer, there's a certain amount of angles and, the heights of a crane that you can lift at, and what the capacity of the poundage it can, how high it goes and how much it can pick up at that angle. I would think taking seriously school more serious, I guess I should say. Right. That would be my best answer there. I wish I'd have paid attention more. I wish I wouldn't have had that mindset of, it's 3 o'clock almost here. I just want to go to football practice. I just want to go to wrestling practice. I just want to go home. Right. Taking care of those 4 years in high school, because you don't get those back. You then have a time where you do have to wake up to an alarm clock. You do have to go to work. You're not punching a clock, but you are going to work every day, and there are people that are depending on you as your future family, stuff like that.
If you liked this Joust About Careers episode, you can explore previous episodes and highlights to learn about even more careers of Van Buren graduates. To be sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, please click subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us, and we hope you will continue to prepare for your future by learning just about careers.